All right, so that is definitely not the candle that we want to see in terms of a continued move to the upside. Really weird doji looking candle heading at resistance. So in today's video, I'm going to give you guys my explanation for the next steps that I think will end up happening for the market. The bullish, the bearish case, the levels that need to hold. We're going to take a look at the SPY, the NASDAQ, the IWM, the large tech stocks. We're going to take a look at the VIX and the bonds. So I hope all of this makes some sense, and we're going to do our best to navigate this market together. All right. So without further ado, let's get started with this video. And thank you so much for all of your support, your likes, comments, subscribe. Thank you so much for everything. And yeah, let's get started. So number one, this is a chart of the SPX. So we can clearly see, I had this chart drawn out and didn't update it. So we just so happened to come and touch a very, very major level of resistance at 418, 41.86. So basically, you can see that we wicked here. And upper wick like this is generally a very, very bearish sign. But given the fact that we are in a very, very strong uptrend here, the move can continue. But what I'm expecting to end up happening is, so essentially the mentality that you have to have right now is this is a very bearish sign at a level of resistance, right? So if you were to go short alongside this high, right, that would technically be a good trade, right? But now the issue is, now if you were to take a Fibonacci level from the recent lows to the recent high, right, we should be getting a retest to at least this 23.6% fib. We're going to look at this level on the SPY as well, but essentially we should be due for some sort of a pullback because this is a very bearish setup at a level of resistance, and we failed at it. So what I'm expecting to end up happening is if we end up breaking above higher, right? So if we end up breaking this high here, it'll be similar to what ended up happening. Basically what ended up happening back a few days ago, where we basically on the middle of April, we broke above this high. We continued up a bit more, and then after that we ended up falling lower. So what could end up happening is, most likely, I think if we do end up breaking higher, it'll be something similar to this. We'll end up breaking a bit higher, and that level would be pretty perfectly coinciding with around the 422, like basically 4,213 level on the SPX, and we could break above higher, and then from here we would go lower. So I'm expecting that to basically be what ends up happening in the SPY if we end up making a newer high. All right, so here's a chart of the SPY, and it becomes a bit easier to see what I'm talking about. So number one, we're still clearly below this level of resistance here at 418.31, right? The upper level of the Fibonacci zone. And then I drew a new Fibonacci zone from this recent low from April 26th to today's high, right? Once again, we should be getting a retest back to this 23.6% fib level. It would be very, very rare for us not to get some sort of a touch here. It would basically be the equivalent of what happened yesterday, where Friday, essentially. Friday, we didn't get a retest back to the 23.6% fib of this candle, remember? So it would be very rare for that to happen 2 times in a row. And I mean, it could still end up happening, but this isn't an automatic reason to just short your entire portfolio. But this is a good, generally, this is a very good shorting opportunity, and with a stop loss at this high. Now, once again, essentially, we could have went short again with, in the middle of April. It's easier to see right here on this candle. We could have went short with a stop loss right above the high, right? That was 412. The next day, obviously, we crossed above it with strength, and then we ended up going all the way to 416-ish and then falling lower. So basically, we ended up falling down to almost 403, and this technically this was showing a lot of weakness, but in the next few days we ended up making newer highs. And then from there, that's when we made another reversal candle at a level of resistance once more, and then fell lower. So that is why I think essentially immediately, right, we should be falling lower. But there are still a few more issues with that. I'm gonna explain the reasons why things still look really, really bullish. But regardless, technically, from a technical standpoint, we should be coming back and retesting at least 414.30, 414.50. But tomorrow's level of support is basically for this to remain above the lower trend line of this falling wedge is this 23.6% fib, essentially. And it's coinciding pretty perfectly here. It just makes a lot of sense off of a setup like this to break down lower. But of course, if it ends up breaking a new high, right, basically we could end up retesting to right above 420 to 421, and then from there we can end up falling lower. So that would basically coincide with what I was saying would end up happening into the beginning of May. But immediately, that's a pretty bearish candle. But the main issue, one of the few issues with this bearish claim, right? And number one, first of all, right, swinging at the moment is not as easy, right? If there were good swings to take, I would be telling you blatantly exactly what I'm doing. But right now, I'm trying to give you guys an understanding of what I think will end up happening day to day. It doesn't automatically mean that, okay, he's going to be this, unless I tell you exactly what position I'm holding, that everything else that I'm doing is just my thoughts on what can happen immediately next. So that you yourself, as you're looking at the charts, you'll end up seeing, okay, Ahmed said this would end up happening based off of this and this and this. Okay, I see something similar happening at the moment. Maybe I can apply this. So I'm doing this to basically explain to you guys what I'm looking at so that you could do the same. But yeah, essentially, during the day, regardless, we make great plays and we make a lot of money basically day trading options. So if you guys are interested, obviously tune into the YouTube stream or the Twitch stream. I'm gonna put both of the links, the Twitch stream in my bio and the channel description. The Twitch link has a much lower delay, so definitely watch it on Twitch. I literally say exactly when I'm going to buy and sell everything, so there's really no like gimmick and there's no hiding anything that I'm doing. So definitely tune into that. We've been catching really, really great plays literally for the past for a while now. So things are doing really, really well. So definitely check that out. And yeah, so now I'm gonna explain to you guys why this move to the upside could continue. And essentially, we might not even necessarily touch this level of support. But before I do that, I cannot stress how important it is to understand that this should be falling lower. Okay, we should absolutely be falling a bit lower and then bouncing. But what we've seen right now over the past few days is extreme strength. But something that would have made it very easy to be short is essentially the tech stocks. But we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to look at why the issue is that it's not just a blatant short. All right, so 2 issues why it's not a blatant short. Actually, 3 issues why it's not a blatant short. Number 1, we have FOMC tomorrow. Or sorry, we have FOMC on Wednesday. Number 2, Apple. So Apple is still showing a lot of strength, and we made another high on Apple. This is still moving higher. We're still showing a lot of strength. This is not a bearish setup in the least. The only reason why we fall is if there's some profit taking, and then the level that we need to hold on Apple is this 168 level. We should be getting a retest back to that level, and then continuation to the upside on Apple, in my opinion. That's the level that we would have to watch for it to remain bullish or bearish, in my opinion, on Apple. And then the third reason are the chips. So if you look at Nvidia, Nvidia is doing very well. So generally when Nvidia does this well, it pulls the rest of the market and it pulls the tech stocks up as well. And of course, AMD is doing fantastic as well. So this is the only reason, and this is the only issue here with why I think the market can still show some strength. So what could end up happening is the tech stocks, namely Nvidia and AMD, Apple, etc. Oh, not even to mention Microsoft. Microsoft is holding really well here. Google is also holding really well. Meta obviously is holding really well also. So all of these stocks are holding very, very well. So what could end up happening is we could see some stagnation in these stocks and a bit of profit taking. And that profit taking can go into other sectors, and those other sectors can help propel the SPY up for a day or so. And that could also end up pushing stocks like Tesla up as well. The love out of those other stocks will fuel moves in these. But essentially, it's, you know, if you look at the entire, all of the indices and everything, this is very similar. The NASDAQ looks very similar to Apple, and it's still clearly bullish. You know, this isn't an automatic reason to be bearish. But then when you look at the IWM looks very, very similar to the SPY in terms of this upper wick. So the tech stocks are showing clear strength. But over here, it's not on the SPY and on the IWM as a bear, right? If you were wanting to be a bear, where would you want to short off of this setup? You would want to short as close to your stop loss as possible, right? And if your stop loss is going to be either above here or above here, right, you're obviously going to want this to bounce back up a bit. Now, the issue is that because the market is so strong, if we end up bouncing up, this can just maintain itself, pull back a bit, not even fully back to a major level of support, and then it'll just continue up. So that's currently the situation that we have with the market. Things look very, very strong, and it's just a matter of how much more we can go up. You know, swinging overnight during this environment is it's a bit more difficult, especially now because FOMC is going to happen on Wednesday, and then Apple's earnings is going to happen Thursday, and that's definitely going to be affecting the market. But aside from that, these are the things that I'm currently looking at. And yeah, the only other thing that I could think of is if we end up making new highs, then that same concept, the 420s, 420 to 425, depending on how much higher we could go, that is going to be a very, very overextended market. And then last but not least, the VIX is still holding this level of support. So we know that the VIX has an inverse relationship to the market. If the VIX is falling, that means that the market should be rising. Okay? So currently, we can see that the VIX crept a bit below this level of support that we had yesterday and bounced. So if the VIX can continue bouncing here, that is obviously going to mean that strength in the VIX coincides to weakness in the market. And the fact that the VIX is holding this level of support and the SPY is at a level of resistance, the VIX can bounce and the SPY can fall. So that's essentially what looks like it could end up happening. And you know, aside from that, we're all just waiting to see what ends up happening for the week for the FOMC and Apple earnings. Until then, we just have to play the levels during the day blindly and just stick to the levels. And as we continue to trade during the day, we end up seeing patterns. We end up seeing more and more patterns that play out on the larger time frames. So then it's much easier to trade the macro as well. And then another thing that I will say is, once again, it's good to remind us, but if the SPY ends up opening very red, right? And regardless, if the momentum for the day, for example, is a continued bullish move, right? If we are clearly bullish in momentum on the daily chart or the 4-hour chart, right? On the larger time frames, if we're bullish during the day on the 1-minute time frame, on the shorter time frames when you're scalping, it pays, and it's much easier to also lean that same direction because the market overall is headed in that direction. You don't want to try to catch tops on an uptrend, right? Because we're still going to be uptrending. So you don't want to try to short on an uptrend. You would rather buy dips. So I hope that makes sense. Play alongside the momentum, essentially, is all I'm trying to say. And right now the momentum is bullish until proven otherwise. But regardless, we showed this level of resistance, and we need to see how much higher the SPY can end up going. So essentially, the SPY needs to end up holding above 416.50. So if 416.50 can hold on the SPY, then we can end up making a new high tomorrow. But 416.50 is a major level of resistance to the upside, and then 414.50 is a major support to the downside. So between that, it's basically going to be no man's land. So yeah, once again, my thought process is we should get a retest up to 23.6% fib. From there, we're gonna have to make a decision if we get there. But yeah, if we break back above 416.50 and we're holding, then that's bullish, and we should continue up higher. And if we end up continuing higher above today's high, then we can end up seeing 420, 421. In the next few days, we can end up seeing this level here. And then from here, that's when it would make more sense to short again. And then, yeah, we'll see. We'll take it one day at a time, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys had an awesome start to your week. We sure did. So I love you guys. Please tune into the stream and like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Join the Discord server as well if you guys are interested in getting live stream trade updates throughout the day as well. We share all of our trades there for free. I share my trades there. Other people are also sharing trades there as well. We have really, really good traders in there that are sharing trades. So definitely join the Discord. It's an awesome community of like-minded people that are all trying to basically grow and, you know, work through the markets and make a living. So yeah, definitely tune in. Join in the link. I'm going to also share the link to the Twitch in the channel description as well, so you can tune into the streams. And aside from that, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Have a good one.